Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of In the Blender with your host Shake Money. And man, I'm looking back. This is season 3, and thinking about all the people I've had that were content creators. Look, TD Finn's Talk, Mike Oliva from Dolphins Talk, Great One Devore. I've had Kay Flexen, Marissa Marino, um, and Larry L from the Finns fan panel. Um, I think right now, Miami Dolphins content creation is we have a plethora of content creators to choose from. I had Big C recently, so new, old. I've had a lot of people walk into the blender, whether you be a content creator, whether you be just a regular panelist, whether you're on Twitter, wherever your background is, as long as you're a Dolphin fan, we sat here for an hour and chopped it up, man. And I am happy and honored. Shout out to Cosa Nostra. He's the one who helped me expedite reaching out to this next guest, and he graciously came on, man. And I have him in the back. So when we come back, let's get to know Mr. Ace Perhead. So I'll see you back in a second.
Shake, 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 yeah. Shake, 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 shake. Shake money in the place. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We gonna talk about the Fins again. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender was shaking his friends. We gonna talk about the Fins again. Is you a fan or a troll? Are you trying to wish us good? Trying to take control. Bringing problems to the hood. What takes your soul? Miami Dolphins bring the wood. Super Bowl is the goal. Tyreek Hill. I'm trying to kick it with Shake. You gotta be a real fan. No pretenders and fakes. We're gonna open up the line. Come correct with your takes. If you step into us blind, we're gonna show you the way. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender with Shake and his friends. We're gonna talk about the Fins again. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender with Shake and his friends. We're gonna talk about the Fins again. Never want the season to end. Mix it up a little with gin. And I remember when I knew that the Dolphins would win. Yeah, rockin' with Shake, rockin' with Shake. Let's go. I never want the season to end. Never. Mix it up a little with gin. That's right. Pass it off to one of my friends. Yeah, rockin' with Shake, rockin' with Shake. Larry K. What up? Phin-Addicts. TFTG. The tailgate. Miami Dolphins, baby. What up, Lou? Shake money. Crypto. Check it. Me? God bless y'all. Miami Dolphins #1. And we out. Miami Dolphins football. The greatest football team. We push the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. Respect us.
Morning, Your Majesty. It is another beautiful day in Zamunda.
Yes, it is. It is another beautiful day in Zamunda. I appreciate Scott Jackson in the building. Cosa Nostra, what's going on? Hope you are well. Oh man, I think we had some technical difficulties. I think the man, he just went out. Hopefully he'll be back. But yeah, man, this next guest, Ace Perhead, he is like one of the originators, I would say, and I talked to him for a little bit backstage, man. I enjoyed his content. He's very thorough in his approach. Former journalist, he has a lot of insights on this team. So hopefully he'll be back. I think we lost him. So yeah, man. Kosa, what's going on? Appreciate you coming up. Scott Jackson, what's going on? How you doing, man? So yeah, like I said, we're just waiting for him to come on board. Hopefully he disappeared on me. Where did he go? Where did he go? Man, technical difficulties, I guess. But Mondo Swam, what's going on? Yeah, man, we're here. I'm hoping that he will show up back soon. Let me get my drink. Good drink. Oh man. Yeah, just waiting for him now, man. I hope y'all doing good, man. Hey, 4th of July is almost here. This is the last month that we're gonna go without football. Unfortunately, July, all we have is baseball now, and I think WNBA, and that's pretty much it, man. And I'm just here, hoping he'd come. Let's see. Yeah. How did I come up? Um, that's a good question, Kosa. While we wait for the guest, I think he's having technical difficulties. Let me email him real quick. Well, so Larry K, the owner of this channel, uh he was doing TD during the summertime when it was dead season. He gave some certain content creators that let them do like, for instance, Mike on the mic. He let Miss Fins and he let Larry K get on his show so other people to open up a bigger audience. You know what I mean? So Larry K was on there every Wednesday, and he would drop the link, and I would talk with Larry K. Me and Larry K would we jived well. So Larry K told me he wants to do a show with me called Larry G and Shake, and so we did a season of that, and we just been rocking ever since. And then I met El Capitan. I won a card. I won a card. So I met El Capitan. Me and El Capitan he had my number. I had his number, and we were talking back and forth. I wanted to contribute a little bit to the Finn's Tailgate to some capacity, and so I just started rocking with El Capitan. So now I do Larry K and the Finn's Tailgate. But my guest is back, and let me welcome the one, the only Ace per head, Curtis. What's going on, Curtis?
The guy with no internet connection. I live in a damn mountain. This always happens, man. He's like, I got some kind of black curse. I'm sorry, brother, man. I appreciate it.
No, it's all good. I
apologize. Oh, my OCD German nature's freaking, man. Sorry for that, guys. But I live 2,500 feet above sea level, and the internet oftentimes does that. So thank you for the invite. The one and only guy without internet connection. So I'm here.
Appreciate you. So let's before we get to brass tacks and actually $1 million question, what is Ace per head? Please enlighten us.
Basically, Ace per head is it's a platform for people who like to be a bookie. And so it's not involved in the gambling aspect, but it's a software to help you run your clientele. And so instead of doing the paper, I don't really know much about it. I probably should. But instead of doing the paper stuff, basically you have all this software to help run your business. And it's really an amazing company. I'm not just saying that. I wouldn't deal with them if it wasn't true. And they're a smaller guys group, but they're probably the third biggest in the world. So they have a great reputation. They're unbelievable to me and to their clients. So I'm too cheap. I'm a cheap German, so I don't bet. I don't even know how to do that stuff. But essentially that's what it is. It's a software to run your business if you're into being a bookie.
What's going on, man? Amanda Swims here, Cosa Nostra, Aquavision. Shout out to Fin Spin. What's going on, Fin Spin? But yeah, man, listen, I'm a big fan of saying, listen, supporting my sponsors is supporting me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'm a big proponent.
I'm trying. I'm not much of a salesman. My wife, I wish my wife could come in and take my skin and do it. She's amazing.
Scott Jackson.
Sorry, guys, for being late here, and I was just about to come in.
We were kicking it backstage, and we're talking about a lot of good information that I guess we're going to have to regurgitate. But you know what I'm saying. But hey, anyway, like you said, we both could talk.
I'm sweating over here, bullets.
We both could talk. Trust me. But all right, here's $1 million question. You,
Scott,
a guy from New York, because I could tell that's not a Hialeah accent.
I try to hide it. Won't go away.
What made you a Dolphin fan from the NYC? Because
Yeah. Well, I remember I'm an old dog, so I grew up in the '70s, and my grandparents had lots of kids, and so a third of them lived in Tampa, and this was when the Dolphins were perfect season, all that stuff, and so it migrated up. My family's a big football family. I was playing from very, very young. And I remember must have been 1978. I walked downstairs and I had two cousins. One was a jerk. He always treated me like garbage. And the other one was the cool guy. I went downstairs to this dark basement and watching something. And he's sitting next to this girl. I'm like, oh, and they looked at me. They were having an argument. It was Dallas versus the Dolphins. They're like, who do you want? Who's your team? I looked at the guy who was a jerk. He liked the Cowboys. I'm like, the Dolphins, man. And so from that point, I sat down next to him. It was like the coolest experience. It was this cool old 70s den with the bar in the background and the big chairs. It was like really, really dark. I sat down next to my cousin with his girl and we watched the game. I'm like, this is it, man. This is cool, and they all play ball. So I started playing football shortly after that. And I started becoming a Dolphins fan. Back then there wasn't information. So I was in the Bob Greasy fan club. I sent the letter. He sent me his pictures. I would cut out the news articles. And, being a New Yorker, you got the Buffalo games. You would get the Jets games. So you get to see a little bit of the Dolphins. And so I really became a Dolphins fan. It wasn't until like 1983 in the Super Bowl that I really realized that I was a fan. I remember we're going to win. We're going to win. I didn't know what the hell was going on, to tell you the truth. And then Riggins popped that run. And I just remember my gut being knocked out. Like, what happened? And then Marino obviously was just everybody, even New York, everybody was talking about Marino. Going to the Super Bowl, we're going to win it. We're going to win it. We're going to win it. And I remember obviously losing it and just crying, man. I was like, I got like some issues. I remember running into the couch head first, like crying and stuff. And so that's when I really started taking off, paying attention to Dolphins. I played more than I understood the game. I was a slow mental developer. So I really didn't start understanding the game outside of just playing it and liking the Dolphins until probably like the early 90s. And that's when I started trying to understand the game because, I wasn't playing much anymore. And that's when I really started kicking in how much I love the game because it's so close to war, and I love strategies. And my family's a
chess match, like chess.
Yeah, I like chess. My family's a big military family, and then I started like digging under the hood and realizing that this game was so much more profound, so deeper than just playing the game. And slowly but surely, over the years, I started digging more and more into it. And so my passion was first football, then the Dolphins. And that's how I ride it. It's the greatest game in the history of mankind. There's like nothing in man's history that's ever been this intricate and so close to war on so many levels that you can never understand it. You never have all the answers. You never know what's going on. And so for me, I just want, before I die, I almost died a couple of years ago. And I,
Oh man, I'm
I
glad
walk
you.
out to my family and tell them like, I might be dead. But the next thought I was like, I can't believe I'm not going to see the Dolphins win a championship. So that's where I'm at. I love the game with a passion. I just want to see that success again, even if it's just like Dan Marino in the 90s. I'll take it at this stage. But I would
Mhm.
love to see this team win it all. It'd be like my bucket list, probably at the
Yeah,
top. So that's it.
yeah, you have any? Have you been to any games or memorable?
Oh, yeah. There was I remember going to a Jets game in the early 2000s with Ricky. I got to see Ricky run. Then I got to see him come back when he was with Sperano. And I was a huge Ricky fan. I kind of fell off being a Dolphins fan because I couldn't stand how they stuck Marino in the back and they had the stash running the show. I was happy that they won the playoff game. But it was Ricky coming back that really got my passion back into it. And so, I just went to the week 2 last year. It was not a good game. It was a terrible game. But I brought my wife, who I told you in the back. She stopped watching the Dolphins in 2007. She's like, I can't stand watching this game with you. You're always miserable. This team sucks. And so all that time up until last year, week 2, she hadn't watched any games. And she had met so many nice Dolphin fans. They were so kind to her. It was such a good experience. The stadium's unbelievable. And we had a great time. So I would say those are probably the 2 biggest for me. I was in Tampa, living in Tampa for a while, and it was Dan Marino's last year. And it was I think it was an Orange Bowl preseason game. And I'd never seen Marino play. And so my friend who liked to smoke a lot of weed decided to come out late, and I got into the stadium on his last snap, and I saw him in the corner over there. So that's my downer. So that's the gamut.
So Michael K, he to a side hotline is the resident Bills fan. He wants to know, are you a closet Bills fan? No, I guess your wife is a closet Bills fan.
No, she doesn't even understand. She's like, I still don't understand the game. But I'll tell you, what the funny part is? She's very savvy. And she was watching that game. And she kept saying, honey, why aren't they hitting the people like the other team, the Bills team? She's like, why aren't they knocking them around? The other team's knocking your team around. And I'm like, yeah, well, maybe that's part of it. So she doesn't really understand the game. She just likes the excitement, see me excited. My little son's into it. My oldest son's not. My daughter's not. My younger son loves it. I had to talk him out of being a Jets fan. He liked the Jets because it was planes. So I got him sort of into the Dolphins now. So that's it. Now she doesn't understand it. She still doesn't understand it.
But I heard something interesting. Somebody was saying that and again, as crazy as it may sound, they were saying one of the things that, again, this is a fan theory, so bear with me, all right? But if the more I listen to it, the more kind of validity it has to it. Like, one of the biggest mistakes for Darren Schuler was Dan Marino. And the reason why was because he went away from what was working, the physical run game. He went from a finesse passing game. So all the teams before Marino were physical smash mouth. You know what I'm saying? And now he kind of went to like this finesse team, passing air raid offense, which is good during the regular season, but when it's cold weather, it's not so much.
Yeah, well, I talked to a lot of people that are old-time Dolphin fans, and they lived in Florida. And, you have to really understand it's not about Marino this or that. Although at the end, when his knees started going, he just couldn't get to some of those stretch runs and stuff like that. And it did curtail it. But Shula kind of got off his game, and he drafted poorly. And I think the biggest issue was that we lost Dwight Stevenson. That was the guy that really, because if you go back and you look at Marino, he was able to move. They tried to run the football. In that San Francisco game, they came out and played us a base, and we went down and scored a touchdown. And Ronnie Lott said, what the hell are we doing? They just put 3 down linemen, maybe 4 down line, 1 linebacker. Everybody else was DBs. And we just couldn't run on them. And so Shula was a great, great coach. He had some very good hits. I mean, you look at Clayton Duper, Dwight Stevenson, Marino, Brian Cox, Webb Sims, but his hit rate was not what it should be. It was a lot of misses. He didn't fill the team out. And I think in some ways he leaned on Marino so much that it just kind of fell into this rhythm. And so I don't think it was Marino necessarily, except for late when his knees were gone. But I think really it starts with, the offensive line. I mean, once Dwight Stevenson left, Marino went in the tank for like 2.5 years. He was not good. I mean, he was better than most guys, but very sloppy. We struggled. We didn't do much. Then we drafted Webb and Sims in the first and second round. All of a sudden he took off again. But we never built the offensive line totally right, because those were the only two guys. There were some other guys that were decent, but it was always a one-dimensional thing. And then you have Oliver Dottie. Oliver Dottie was the worst DC ever. And Shula, to his credit, he was honorable, but he stuck with him too long. The defense was terrible. I mean, you could have put Marino on any team that was a full balanced team, and he would have done all right, except towards the end where the knee went. So I don't blame him. I blame Shula. He's the guy in charge. He was GM and coach. Still think he's great. I love them. But it falls on the GM and the coach to set the framework right. And, if you remember when they started going to the zone blitz, Marino had a lot of struggles for a couple of years. He was getting picked and had problems. And you break that stuff by running the football. But Marino kept throwing the football because it kept handed over to him. But in the end, it's got to be about the GM and the head coach. For me.
So that's pretty much what I think the disconnect was, because I think Jimmy Johnson saw that and said, hey, look, you're a talented quarterback and everything like that, but if we're one-dimensional, we're not, we need to, he understood that if you crowd the box, it'll be easier for Marino to find his targets and you know what I mean?
Yep. Look at Kelly. Look at Kelly, what he had. Imagine Kelly in our offense and Marino in his offense, what it would have been like. That was a team that was built like a superstar team.
Yeah. I mean, especially
I'm not as big on the quarterback, the end all be all. I kind of think of them as the cherry on top, more than that, the icing and the cherry on top. But if the layers underneath, the cake itself is built like crap, it don't matter. Because Damir was the best, especially early on when he was mobile. This guy was a monster. And so if he's not doing it, who is? Who can?
Well, the perfect example is someone like Big Ben. Okay, you look at Big Ben. The team that he got drafted to was loaded. You're talking about Hines Ward, Randall L., the Bus, Jerome Bettis, Troy Polamalu. Yeah, and I forgot that number 92, whatever his name is. I forgot what his name is, but he had Kimo Hoffman. You know what I'm saying? Casey Hampton. I'm talking about the defense. The whole team was stacked. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, Ben Roethlisberger was put there like the cherry on top.
Yep. Yeah. His first Super Bowl win, he was just like a backdrop. They relied on run game, defense, and some clutch plays in his movement. He didn't. The next Super Bowl he kind of earned a little bit more, but his first one, it was really a team effort. And you can see, look at Tampa with what was his name? I can't remember the guy's name. Or the Ravens with Flacco. Mm-hmm. Look at Jake Delhomme went to the Super Bowl with the Panthers. You've got to build the team. It's a team game. It's based on physicality. And, the Dolphins are kind of cursed in a way because we're a sunshine team in an ugly, muggy, snowy division. And so while a certain stuff works early in the year at home, it's not portable to have a fun and gun system in the snow on the road. And so, I believe the team, look, you look at O'Donnell when he lost with the Steelers, that was on him. He threw 2 picks. There's even talks about betting allegations, and he was cut right after that. That's a quarterback who screwed it up. But we haven't been built right since the 70s. Not really. I thought we were pretty good with Ricky, but we had no quarterback. Fiedler was really bad.
Brad Johnson with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that's it. My memory's not so hot.
It's all
like
good,
my internet.
Hey, listen, they're Tampa, so you don't need to remember those guys.
That's right. Yeah.
So, all right, let me ask you this: what you've been doing a podcast? I've been listening to. Been tuning in for a long time.
Oh, thanks,
What
brother.
made you number one get into it, and number two, because to me, um, if I had to compare it, like I'm not trying to compare it to anybody, but to me, I would say you're more of a Kyle Krabs, Travis Wingfield type of podcaster, where you're into the weeds and you're very detail oriented when it comes to your analysis. I think his internet froze again. What's going on? What's up, Bon Joe? Shout out to Frozen Finn fan. Speaking of Frozen, I think he's frozen right now. My man Lucci, what's going on? Appreciate you, man. Hey Lucci, if anybody is in Daytona, check out my man Lenny's Pizza. It is delicious. Thanks to Lenny, I know what good pizza is, and I know what good cigars are. Shout out to Lenny, man. Appreciate you, man. He looks like Tua when the play comes in. Damn, Scott Jackson. Tell me how you really feel, bro. The realignment dilemma. Yes, it was a dilemma. But yeah, man, he was cooking too, man. I love this dude, man. He actually has a real a knack for this game, and like I said, he's very detail oriented when you hear him speak, whatever. So I'm sure he'll be back. I didn't see that one actually. I gotta see it. But by the way, man, Frozen Fin fan, I gotta get you in the blender, man. Hopefully, I could get you in pretty soon. But yo, Steve Malloy, yeah, man. Curtis's internet went out. He'll be back. Appreciate you for coming through, man. Yeah, man. Hey, listen, one thing, like I said, one thing I learned watching, watching Dave, the All Dolphins podcast with Alan Poupard, is that we actually had the chance to go to the AFC South, and they said no, no thanks. You know, and here we are, man. Okay, that's what's up, brother. Hey, I'm looking forward to it, man. Rivalries, yeah. Some of the best games, man. Phil, what's going on? No, no, Phil, he'll be coming back. His internet is kind of choppy, so he will be back any minute now. Hopefully, his internet will be coming back. So trust me, the interview is not over. He will be back. Just bear with me real quick. Like I said, I found out he lives in Panama, so the internet is kind of choppy there. So hope y'all doing well, man. Thank you for shopping, for coming through, Phil, and for being a member and supporting Larry K, man. Larry K and I will, yeah, man, we're definitely going to be back in August. We're going to be doing our panel shows, obviously. Me, Greg, and the guys. We're going to come in, and it's going to be, yeah, Panama. Panama. There you are. By the way,
I'm
Phil
10
was
pounds
looking
off.
forward to this.
Phil,
You
I
gotta,
know that's my
you gotta,
guy.
You got a big following, man. You got a big following.
Dude, they
By the way,
follow the
speaking of
jackass, the internet jackass.
Steve Malloy is in the building. Look at
Steve's
Steve
my
Malloy.
man. He was the
Yeah,
first
Steve Malloy.
guy ever to invite me on, made me feel like I'm part of the community. I'll never forget Steve for that. Sorry, guys, again. It's not my
That's
good
all right.
point.
Oh man, Steve Malloy was in the blender last year. I tell you what, man. One thing I liked about Steve Malloy, man, we got into some old school Dolphins talk. It was like one of my favorite episodes. Actually, all my favorite episodes to listen to. You know what I'm saying? One of the traditions I have is the next day on my way to work, I listen to the replay.
Oh, sweet.
But yeah, it's awesome to actually, now that I've heard you for so long, that now it's me and you talking. It's like
it is weird, right? Yeah,
yeah.
That's what I think it should be about. To me, all I see this as is sitting in a bar with people and having conversations. You get a little heated. You make up, you share some wings, and you buy the guy a beer or whatever. You screw up, and that's it. But it's about people. And that's really what it's about for me. And so I enjoy meeting good people, guys with better internet connection.
That's right. Listen, speaking of which, my man Anthony Pilucci, I was saying, if you're ever in the Daytona area, there's this dude. His name is Lenny's New York style pizza. He introduced me to pizza, good pizza, and good cigars. And I used to smoke like these cheap cigars, and now he gave me some good cigars, and now I can't go back to the cheap cigars anymore.
Yeah, I tried to smoke a cigar a couple times, but then I got green in the face because I would swallow it or something. So I kind of Frozen Fin fan is another my guy, Derek.
Yeah, Frozen Fin fan has been in love. Yeah, he's a good dude. He's gonna be in the blender soon too, man.
Awesome.
I'm trying to.
He's great. He's great. He's such a stand-up guy.
Yeah, man. I got so many people that there's another guy, Reno's Goat. He's originally from L.A. He's now living in Utah. He has some cool stories. I can't wait for him to get on. And like I said, there was a guy named Raphael Courtwright. I'm sure you heard of him, Raphael Courtwright. He was in the blender. He was talking about how he was in the Marines and his time in Japan. I mean, we talk about the Dolphins, but too, I also talk about we also talk about
life.
Yeah, pretty much. So let me know. I don't know if you heard this, but I said when it comes to, again, I can't compare and contrast content creators, but to me, I think you're more like the Travis Winfield and the Kyle Krabs. You know what I'm saying? Your style. I like you're very into the weeds and you're very detail oriented when it comes to your analysis and your assessments of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you actually break down, like we were talking backstage, why the Dolphins had success running. And that's all right. Let's talk about that 70 points, how you got backlash because you were kind of pointing out certain things. Let's talk about that.
Well, I would say, yeah, I try to do the intellectual thing because, for me, the live thing, aside from the internet, is easier for me. But to sit in front of the camera and you got to like say all this stuff and be on point, it freaks me out. So when I have the information, it really helps me stay on point because I got ADD and I can go off into space and start talking about whatever, crazy stuff. But those guys, I think they're more articulate, I think, in some ways. And I think that they're far better media guys as far as keeping it on point. I kind of see myself a little bit like Alf Ortega. 3 yards per carry. He's a little bit more rougher. He's more like me, super smart guy. But yeah, that's what I try to do because we're told ESPN was great for a while. And then it moved towards this fluff stuff. And a lot of people think that when you look at the surface, that you're going to be able to tell what really went on. You might feel like that, but it's not. These guys are going back, watching tape, whole teams, and just trying to figure out what's going on because the game is so complex. So that's, for me, is the real draw, is trying to figure things out. I went to school for journalism and writing dissertations and studying stuff. And that's a real why, the why. Yeah, okay, yeah, he did this or he did that, but why? So that's, and then it really goes back to like with the 70-point game. I was happy. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't sure about going to 70, to break the record or not or whatever. But I was like, oh, that's amazing. But what I noticed when I went back on the film, I said, look at the way these edges are getting crushed and the pockets are opening. And then when I watched the subsequent weeks, I saw, because for me, when I watch a team, I want to know what the DCs think. They're smarter than me. They've got, a whole core of guys, coaches trying to put together a game plan. So I watch the Dolphins, then I go back and I watch what the DCs did. And then I watch how do they change the next week. And what I saw was, and I've talked about it for a while, is the leverage. You could be a slow guy, but if you give a guy a 5-yard cushion, you can cover him. And so leverage is a major portion of this game. And it's not just the positioning of the players. It's how they put the players on the field, how they geometrically shape their coverage. It goes on and on. Leverage is everywhere. It's like there's inches everywhere. There's leverage everywhere. And what I noticed was right after that game, a team started pushing out those linebackers or the edge players to give birth, to take away the outside runs. And then they weren't really attacking the interior. They were dropping off and they were playing more over coverage, and that kept on developing. I'm trying to get a podcast that's just really big, and I'm trying to make it palatable to cover from that Denver game all the way to the end of last year. And you can see by the DCs, the books they use, they're always trying to, it's like you got to catch up to the tape. They're creating books. And when you watch a DC and you see he's copying the book from the week before, it tells you something. And then if you start seeing it for multiple weeks and then you see this thing taking shape, and I talked about, like, we were in the Cowboys game. They were playing dime on the 4-yard line to go for the touchdown. And they were in a dime. And I noticed the lack of blitzing. I noticed the linebackers playing deeper, the coverage playing certain looks over, the emphasis to take away our limited menu, the pocket post to Tyreek or Waddle, the deep play, the edge runs, and then the screens. And you can take care of all that with a particular book. And I've never seen that book to that emphasis in my life as a football fan. Not saying it's never happened, but I've never seen it. I mean, we are the quickest throwing team, least blitz team, highest leverage in the box. I mean, linebackers, sometimes we're in 11, 12, 21 personnel, and they're playing their linebackers 5 and 6 yards off, and they're not even taking a step forward. And I've never seen that. And so that to me said, hey, man, this was a good game, but the game plan they came at us with was a terrible, terrible game plan. Plus they had injured, whatever. And, we had a big game against the Giants, but I kept seeing stuff. And people would say, you're a hater, you're not a Dolphins fan. But for me, I've got to go by what I see and what I study. And even if it's not popular, I'm about accuracy, because I went to school. I was going to be a journalist. I had a former Times reporter who worked in the during like the Cold War and stuff in the satellite states of Russia. And he's like, dude, get out of journalism. It's dead. And I was like, what? But that had been formed in me that I have an obligation. I'm the fourth estate. And the truth is the primary goal of journalism. So I said this stuff. I got a lot of heat from content providers and fans and whatever else. But ultimately, a year and a half later, we're talking about all these things now. And I'm not saying I'm always right, but it was just very easy if you take your heart out of it. You're just looking objectively. And it's hard for me because I want to just be a raving Dolphins fan. But when I watch those games on Sunday, I have to report after that. And so I've got to cut stuff off and just try to give the best information. And my information was accurate, not on everything or whatever, but all these things, these components. You can't throw the football at 2-0-4 and be blitzed 20% of the time. And then, I made my own name up for it. It's pass rush mitigation, screens and play actions at 50%, have linebackers play high leverage and play cover 2 and expect to throw the football. You got to run inside. That's how you break the nickel. You break this leverage look. And so ultimately, I feel like my findings, my thesis played out correctly. And it's a bad state. But the great news is that because we're played in such an accentuated state and the books have been the same through these DCs for so long, that even marginal success can create big success this season if we start forcing them to change the leverage and alter the books. And that's why I've been talking about O-line since 21. People said you can't teacup. It's not about power football, Curtis. It's not about that. I even mentioned a couple of years ago, I noticed the trends in the playoffs. You watch playoff teams, what are they doing? And the trends were they were moving more to the run game and more towards pass balance, attacking the A and B gap, not necessarily to win the game, but to set the leverage, to create situations where you could take advantage of it and get those points. And so if we built right this offensive line and we can have a pass balance look and attack that A and B gap, given our awesome talent, whether John was here or not, but, Waddle and Hill and H and Westbrook, you want to put them in there, and it is going to pay big dividends. But if we don't change that book and they're able to do the same old, and we run the same old, I expect poor results. But incremental success will force, through the course of the game, the linebackers, the defense, and the DC to have to adjust and be unsettled. I call it 4-point tension. You've got to threaten the line of scrimmage, the deep, and the boundaries. There's 11 guys. When you factor out all the distance they got to cover, it's very difficult. But if everyone's sitting on top, ambushing you, it's very, very difficult. And so if we can get that run game going, get those linebackers biting up, and then start altering the game plans and the focus of the players and the DCs going forward, that uncertainty, because an offense has to have initiative. The offense has to know that where the play is going, snap at a ball, but the defense has to guess. They've got to be nervous. And if they're not, and if they're comfortable, then they're playing offense because they're dictating the tone of the game. And so I do think there's opportunities, but it's all going to stem from our ability to, because another thing I think it was Chris Kaufman talked about 2 years ago. I had mentioned our lack of true pass sets, 5.5 guys blocking, everybody going out. We had the worst true pass set grade in 14 years. We're the least true pass set team in the league. This is not tenable. These are all pros, even the worst teams. And if you give them the edge, you're going to get the edge in the keister. And that's really what's been happening. There's a lot of other things that go into it, but the leverage disadvantage, the defense being comfortable and having dictate the game, it's been the main thing that's crippled us. Not saying we'd have gone to the Super Bowl or whatever, but to me, that's the deal. And if you study the game and if you're not a fan in the sense where you're just being clinical, it's really obvious. And I just don't understand how simple things that are tried and true formulas like running the football and offensive line and being physical became like passe. And it was difficult to explain along with this leverage and the rest of the stuff. So I went on for a while. Anyway, that was it.
That's all good. That's good. I want my man. Shout out to my man Lewis. Lewis, he's been on the in the blender 3 times. I consider him like a brother. He's mi hermano cubano. 2 things. I remember he was on the Blitz pickup. He's on a Blitz pickup. He has his own show as well.
Oh, sweet.
With Tony H. He's a new great up and coming show as well. I had them separately and I had them together this year, which was an amazing show. It's one of my favorite shows to record. But he has a son that's playing for Louisville, cornerback. And one thing he told me, he said he had an interception, a pick 6. He scored. He played wide receiver, played a touchdown. And after the game, he didn't go up to him and say, "Hey, son, good job." He goes, "No, son. Hey, how come?" When you were standing here, you missed the guy. You could have got another interception. Yep. How come you didn't stand? So he was pointing out the things that he could improve on instead of focusing on the things that he did well. And he wasn't doing that to be a dick. He was just trying to help him elevate his game.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. So I think that's what you're trying to do in a nutshell. But let me ask you 2 questions, and then I'll let you go because I know you really
whatever you got, bro. I really listen.
I'm enjoying yourself, but I'm gonna bring up on Tua. Number 1, the stat is the fact that number 1, there's a stat that's saying that when Tua has more time in the pocket, bad things happen. And number two, what do you think of this notion that Tua folds in the biggest games? Like, for instance, I'll give you a good example. We had the AFC champion, and I forget. I was in Buff. It was Monday. It was a Sunday night game, right? I was surrounded by Bills fans at Hard Rock Stadium, and which was fine because you know what? I met this guy. Oh, you know what I'm saying? And this guy right here.
Oh, lucky you, man. Lucky you.
Yeah. And he was on the show too. So here's the thing though. We had a chance to win the game. At the last minute, he threw an interception. That was a ball game. So what number one, what do you think of this? The fact that when he has more time to throw, he makes bad decisions. And number two, him folding in the biggest games.
Well, I'm gonna go number two, and then I'll go number one. Okay. I definitely think he gets a few yips. I think that he's still green in that process because I'm not saying he's definitely not Ice Veins, Marino, or Montana yet. Maybe that develops, but it takes some time. I don't think it's his nature, though. I think he has some clutch in him. I think that sometimes the situations are non-conducive. And for me, I would have taken Tua and developed a pass balance. I mentioned it many times, spoke about it, to set him up. I don't like the fact that he's the guy that's got to carry it all. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a good guy. I think that there's good things to that outside the game, but I don't think he's ruthless. So you could say maybe he's not the most clutch. I do think he has clutch, but the situations are so non-conducive. And so when you say, okay, time. So what happens when the clock is running high? Okay. How many receivers do you have in route?
I'm sorry. I forgot to put a pause. I had them separately, then them together, but whatever. Go ahead.
So when think if you're a quarterback, we've all played little pee-wee ball or whatever. And if you have a lot of time and everybody's dropping back and you've got 3 receivers and routes and 7 DBs, at a certain point, and now to be fair, he doesn't have the biggest arm. I think it's overdone that he's not that big. He can hit certain windows very, very nice, but the deep outs is definitely not something he can hit. And that alters things. But when
I'm sorry. But one thing, I'm not trying to push back, but one thing about the misconception about Tua, I believe Tua can make every throw, but there's one caveat. Tua could do those throws when he uses proper body mechanics, his hips and things like that. That's when you could see those throws. You've seen it to Jakeem Grant his rookie year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You've seen it when he has proper body mechanics where he stumbles in throwing, is when he tries to do like a Michael Vick and tries to sling it off script. That's when problems come in. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's great because I see people comparing Breeze to Tua. I think Breeze might have a slightly bigger arm naturally. But if you look at what Breeze and Brady did, they would spend all offseason just to get 1% to 2% more with throwing coaches. And Drew Brees might have had the most immaculate throwing platform and throwing hygiene of any. He got everything out of what he was. Tua can get sloppy. Sometimes it's good when he gets off that back foot and he hits it into the pocket real quick. But he does get sloppy. But he doesn't have the Allen arm or the Mahomes arm where he could take. He could take at certain windows and certain points, but he can't be late. Sometimes he has to be early, even if he had the proper mechanics. And so he just can't take certain areas. But the bottom line is he's not being blitzed. You go look, most quarterbacks have their biggest plays on the blitz. The blitz gets picked up, the secondary is short, and a big play happens. And so Tua, he has to throw the fastest. We have the worst true pass set grade. And we're not being blitzed. He's seeing stack coverages. And so there's a lot of things that play out into this. And I don't know what the exact plays. I have to look at on film. You go even look at the Texans game last year when he threw the out to Hill. and it was picked. Yeah, Hill could have had it in his hands. He had it in his hands. It was taken from him, but it was still late. And he was late. His mechanics was a little off. But most of the time, he's throwing in a non-conducive environments. You look at his blitz rate last year, it was 20%. Look at Allen, it's like 34. You look at Herbert, it's in the 30s. You look at the leverage they're seeing as quarterbacks and the balance they have, it's totally different. Now, in a 2-minute offense, you might not be able to run the football, and you can say, well, it doesn't really matter. He's got to make it happen. But the process to get to that point, if you've not run the football and beaten these guys up and worn them out, then it also kind of creates a non-conducive environment. And also, there's really not too many games where it's like, okay, I got 2 minutes, I got to throw every down. Most teams are mixing in the run game in that process. A lot of it's more about the 4-minute drill than the 2-minute drill. So I think he has abilities. His injury history is a non-starter unless it gets fixed. I think he struggles with the deep outs, and that helps these defenses play the look that they do. But really, it comes down to our inability to be physical and dig guys out and drive in. That's why they play over. They let us matriculate into the red zone, and then we can't run the football. And the speed that we have is neutered because you're only playing by 20 yards or 25 yards. And so if we don't have that ability to pound people through the course of the game in the red zone, in shorts, and, on second, mixed down, 2nd and 5, then it just keeps creating a greater boiling point of pressure. And Tua does have a lower captain, you want to say Marino and Elway and stuff like that. But I think the guy can play. I think the framework was built by an idiot, Chris Greer. I don't think if you got a small quarterback who doesn't have the biggest arm in the injury history, why is he throwing all the time? Why are you skimping out on the offensive line? And why don't you have a run game? So I think it kind of dials back. I think everyone's got a piece of the pie. But for me, it goes back to Greer and the framework. And clearly he's got things to grow on, most notably the health.
By the way, Big C, he was in the blender. Another up-and-coming YouTube channel. He would like to work with you.
Oh, yeah, anytime, dude. Anybody who wants. I don't even care if you have a channel. I'm even started just like you doing. If you want to come on, I'll do a podcast with you. We could live say your point. I think everybody has something valuable to say. And I think everybody, you hear this whole talk about seat at the table. I think that's BS. I think everybody.
I'll shoot him your email then. I'll shoot him.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I love you, man.
All right. Here's a good question. He has Tua ranked at number 12 against all the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Where would you have him at?
I had said a couple of years ago, I think that at the middle stage of his career, if it's built right, he could be between 16 and 12. I kind of say that. I think he's got elite traits, but I don't think so. People will say, well, he just throws fast. He throws with anticipation. That's why you got to throw fast. Well, there's 3 windows for the throwing game. It's the short, medium, and long. And so you can hit those windows with the quick release and the anticipation in different ways, most notably play action. To me, I would have got him a top-end tight end, a nice offensive line and running game, 1 stud receiver, 1 big possession receiver. You run that football, those linebackers creep up, that middle opens up, and that tight end is one-on-one. He could put it in there as well. It doesn't have to be in the first window. You can operate in the second and third window, but you have to set the thing up right, and we haven't. This has been a really inept build. And with his traits, he's got some elite traits, but I would say 12th due to the injuries, due to what he's asked in his framework, and he's got to prove it on the big stage, in the big games. But until you get a coherent team and offense and, skills I don't understand this whole talk. A running back, the most of his work comes from yards before contact. Protection. When an OC starts dialing up a scheme or play calls, he's thinking, how long can my people protect? How can my offensive line and my secondary blockers protect? It all starts with protection and blocking, everything. Then, the skills then enhance that. But if you are in the bottom 5 of the offensive line, the difficulty levels all Madden all the time. you want a team that's like around 15th offensive line with a very nice depth. And then that creates an even playing field for the skills to operate. But as you descend down that level, you're demanding more and higher level of success more consistently from the skills. And that just doesn't work out. Just go see Dan Marino in the Super Bowl with San Fran, among many others. So I would say around 12th and maybe less. I'd say maybe even 16 if this injury thing, because this injury thing is critical. And we don't know. It's an unknown, sort of.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Who's your favorite draft pick this year?
Phillips. I mean, I expect Grant to be very good. I have high hopes for Savania to be a good pass blocker. But I used to be.
He still hasn't signed yet, by the way.
I know. Let's not talk about that. Let's stay happy. But I wanted to be a bodybuilder. I wouldn't do steroids. I love powerlifting. I love lifting. I would just go hang out with my friends and do what I call midnight squats. I was a 180-pound running back, and I would go work out with the DNs, the edge players, doing clean and press, clean and jerk, and I could match them. I love lifting. It sucks getting older. That's like one of the worst things about getting older. So when I saw his lifts, 365, it was a push press. I thought it was strict press because about 470 is the world record. I was impressed, but I still am. This kid's 20 years old. And I think for the value and just for a personal take because of the strength and his nature, he's my favorite from that standpoint. I don't think he's going to meet up to Savania and certainly not Grant. I think Grant's going to be a stud. But if you think about it, you got Sealer and you get a zero in there like him who could develop. He's going to get stronger and more stout. And you can have him next to Grant and then Chubb and Chop and maybe Phillips. That core, that zero, that A gap. I am an old school guy. I believe in taking care of the A gap. And he offers real. I loved Sawale. I miss him. And I miss these stout physical guys that dominate. And, the running back runs to the A gap and all of a sudden there's a big hole there and he's got to skip down. That is gold for me. And that sets the table for everything. And so I would say him, but obviously I don't think he's going to meet the potential, obviously, of Grant and Savania.
So, all right. I got some on-the-spot questions for you.
Uh-oh, I'm already sweating from losing my internet. What are you trying to do? Make me get up lose my weight over here. My wife will be happy.
All right. Let me ask you this. All right, so the Dolphins had a chance to go to the AFC South, right? According to I watch Alan Poupart show. I love Alan Poupart. I think he's one of the guys that is, like you said, journalism he holds their feet to the fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let me ask you. He said that they had, according to David Hyde, he said they approached the Dolphins to go to the AFC South and they declined. If they went to you and said go to the AFC South, would you take it, or would you like to stay with the rivalries?
Well, as a fan, I would say no, stay with the rivalries, just build right. But if I was a Dolphins and I want success, I mean, you've got the Colts in a dome, Texans in a hot environment.
Well, actually, we wouldn't be playing the Colts. The Colts will be in the East.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you know what I mean? To me, that would be a better environment for what we want to do. I would say I don't want to see my old rivalries go. Just build right, build physical, and we'll be fine. But that if we want to be obstinate and stubborn and be fun ball finesse team from just a purely avarice type of way wanted to win, that would probably be better. But I've grown up with the Jets and the Bills and Patriots, and I'd hate to see that die. I'm kind of like an anachronism. I love the old stuff.
I usually have this question about which is the better duo, Marks versus Jaylen Waddle, which is the better wide receiver duo. But I have a better question now. All right, on 7-on-7 drill, right? You got Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill up against
who? You made me think I was froze again. I thought I lost internet connection.
No.
You made me have a heart
Up
attack.
against them, then they're against Patrick Surtain and Sam Madison. Who are you taking?
Who's the quarterback?
I mean, Tua. I would say Tua.
I mean, if you're talking about 7-on-7, you're talking about pure speed, agility. There's really no physicality. I'm going Hill and Waddle. The speed's too much. It's unbelievable. But if you're talking a real regular game with a real defense where they get it and jam on the guys, you could see Hill struggles against the jam. So does Waddle a little bit. I would go them, but in a flag football environment, Hill and Waddle, I would take them because the speed it's ridiculous. The leverage they create is almost unparalleled in a lot of ways. And it's a shame we didn't really take advantage of it. But I think in a full, if you would say, hey, our offense, the way it stands against that defense with those guys, they would be muscling them and beating them up. And plus, it'd probably be old school. There wouldn't be as many free runs as they used to. So I don't know if I answered the question. I have no clue.
So, yeah. So if it's 7-on-7 without physicality, you're going with Waddle and Hill. But if
yeah. But in a physical game, I'll take them because they'll beat them up. They'll beat them up.
All right, so I'm gonna put up some pictures right now. You tell me the first thing that comes to your mind when you see this.
Nice guy, superstar, but he's the guy that's holding us back. I don't know. Do you want more? The father I never had. I wish he had done better for Marino. Queasy. That guy bothered me. They're picking the gum up on the carpet. I couldn't stand him from day one. Jimmy, man, he made me want to say goodbye to Shula. He was almost there. If he didn't trade back and got Moss, we might have had some magic.
Yeah, Moss and Marino. Oh, man.
That was the biggest mistake. He got nervous. He missed out big. But I liked him in a lot of ways.
All right. Damn, some of these pictures aren't loading. So, of course.
Super Bowl highlights. Oh, the old film of Zonka plowing through the line for the touchdown. And my first book report was on Zonka. It'll never replace that. I loved Zonka. He was everything I wanted to be as a football player.
You know what's funny is Larry Kay. He's from New Jersey, right? Mm-hmm. And he told me when he was in the blender, one of the reasons he became a Dolphins fan is he had to do a report on Larry Zonka. He picked Larry because they had the same name. And then that's kind of how he started to become a Dolphin fan because of Larry Zonka, you know?
Yeah. Somebody said he's obsolete. No, he would work today. Look at Allstat. I think Zonka would work. I think maybe not the last 15 years, but if you put him in now, I think he'd be very successful with his catching, his blocking, his running, just affecting that A and B gap. I think there could be a move. I think there's a resurgence if you look at the talent pools to the running back position, and you could see something like that, you know, because Allstat was unbelievable. Him and Warwick Dunn. But that was prior to this fun and gun system that the league kind of implemented. Christian Okoye, another one. Yep. I love Christian Okoye. He was a
all right.
Watch.
Let me ask you what, because the picture ain't loading up. What hurt more, Zach Thomas with the Cowboys or
Jason Taylor, because he still had some juice left. Zach was so beat up at that point. I wanted him to retire because I've had head injuries, and he was getting his bell rung. I love that guy so much. I was fine, but Zach, but when Parcells shipped him off, that bothered me.
All right.
The best guy ever, most amount of talent, and it's a shame to see injuries take away his career so far. Unbelievable guy.
All right. Let me see. Hopefully,
just the nicest guy. He's a guy I really fell for. I think I probably felt more for him and rooted more for him. The guy before that was Cameron Wake. Just such a smart, good dude and so much talent, but it's the Achilles heel, sadly.
hold on, damn it. There's one picture I want to bring up, but it's all right. All right,
just don't bring up Greer. I don't need any more stress.
All right.
Tua, good guy, wasn't the guy I wanted. I'm rooting for him, but is a lot to go. I you know what is the thing with him is I feel like he's been screwed in a lot of ways. So I'm rooting for him, but just not sure. And it's not all just him. Again, yeah, like Coach Anosa said, Tannehill. Look at Tannehill with the Titans, what he did. So that's the thing to me. Good guy. I think he means well. I think he should have been built around better, but we screw people over. That's what we do here.
So let me ask you this: if McDaniels fails, whatever, I think he has a few career options. What do you think? Here, a Best Buy or a cover for Digital Underground?
Oh man, that's a good one, dude. You're really good at this, man. I gotta take notes, dude. That was great. That was great.
What do you think?
Oh, he'll definitely be in football. I don't know if it's gonna be a head coach. I think if he fails here, they're gonna put him back in the oven. But I don't know about an OC either. But he'll be a high-level offensive something somewhere, depending on what he does this year. I just don't think. I think that he was a green head coach, run game coordinator. We asked him to be OC, HC, and win now, and then gave him a poor offensive line and a shoddy structure. And I think if you know how it goes. If you build good habits, you'll build good technique. But if you're put in a bad situation, you build bad habits and then your technique suffers. I think he's been playing in catch-up mode. It wasn't a good environment. It's a conducive environment, much like Tua, much like many people we've had along the way. He was set up not to win, but he had fundamental flaws, the nice guy thing, and maybe take it too much too soon. So I think he'll be someplace, just not head coach or OC right away. But in time, I think he will.
All right, hold on. I got something cooking here because I figured let me.
I know worries, brother. I'm really enjoying this, man. I think you do a great job. No, I'm not saying that.
I appreciate that,
awesome
man.
Job, brother.
You
make me feel ashamed. I've been doing this for years, and you're already acing it, man. The intro, the way you lay things out, your little segments.
Yeah, listen. I tried. Like I said, I'm having fun, man.
Me too.
Me too.
Give
me 1 second. Let me see. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Let me see.
Until the internet says "screw you, Curtis."
All right. Let me see. Maybe this way would be a little bit better. All right.
Give me a picture of Brian Cox. I'll go on for an hour.
Oh, hold on. I'm all right. Say less, because
yeah, definitely less than an hour. But dude, I love that. I celebrated that. Brian Cox was the guy, man. I loved him. He was probably my third or fourth favorite Dolphin. Sometimes it's Dwight Stevenson, Marino, and then it's either him or Zach. I love Brian Cox. I thought he should have played outside linebacker and not moved to middle, but he was everything. I just love that dude. That guy could do anything.
By the way, what do you think of Zach Wilson?
He is what he thought he was. He's slow on delivery. He should have been built up differently. I'm not a big fan of the signing.
Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna show you something. I can't unsee it, so you can't unsee it.
Yeah, married with children, Mossy Dawsey. Oh, yeah. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. He's totally different than Tua. I don't know what they were thinking with that. That was kind of crazy.
All right, let me see. Here you go. All right, what do you think of when you? I know you're a radio guy from New York. You're a New York guy. What do you when you think of this? See this guy?
Oh, dude, when I used to go to football practice, man, I used to always listen to him on the radio. I thought he Now I'm older. I got different sensibilities, but I thought he was great. And then he kind of came to sell out and he's kind of lame now.
Yeah, I understand.
I think his
Trust me,
testosterone left him. He's like an old woman now.
Yeah, I trust me. I was a big this is one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. He kind of inspired me to do what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Oh, I used to listen to him all the time. He got me through the long rides down to LIE, man, to go to practice and stuff. Great.
What about this guy right here?
I tell you, I hate to admit it, but the last time I was happy to see a player injured was when he got his Achilles blown out. Guy's great now that I can look back on him, but I couldn't stand him. It was I'm no longer like that young guy who just like is totally insane with football, but he was the last guy I truly hated. It was a horrible time. And he's great though. I mean, you can't take anything from the guy. But God, I hated him. His deflated balls.
Did you remember that Marino said about him?
No, what did he say? Maybe if you jog my memory.
Well, when he talked about how he said that they said, oh yeah, he said Joe Montana was the best quarterback to ever play the game. He said, what about Tom Brady? He was all right. He played with deflated balls.
That's my man Marino. I love Marino.
He goes, I tried it. He goes, I tell you what, it's much easier to throw with the deflated balls.
It's true. That's why he did it. It was totally factual. But, they got the edge. They were allowed to have the edge. They burned the tapes.
There's a picture here I'm looking for. I'm sorry. Give me a second.
Don't sweat it, brother.
So
I owe you, man. I owe you with my internet expulsion twice.
Oh, man. So what do you got cooking up this week, by the way, while I'm looking for this picture?
I'm doing the usual right now. I really think Jalen Wright's very underappreciated. I just did a podcast on what he had to work with. And I think this guy could be a stud if the framework's right. If you get him some yards before contact. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to be putting out a film study on him. I did a small film in analytics today. Tomorrow will be the film study. I got the thing now where I just invite people on that are viewers. Anybody wants to come on. I want to give people a voice. I got some other things working in the background. I can't talk about it. I think I'm pretty excited about it. I did some animation. I did a Dolphins cartoon, so I'm going to start doing more of that.
Okay.
And I'm trying to do the Twitter thing. It's just hard, because I really want to have honest conversations, but it's just such a show, but it's essential. So my old school self's figuring that out, That's basically it.
One thing I noticed about Twitter is that a lot of these things that people say, a lot of people, it's easier to, you know what I mean, but to talk trash.
Oh yeah.
But on the keyboard warriors, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. I'm an old school. Like you're my age just about, and like we didn't have this stuff, and so I'm a big reader. I love to write and read. And Robert E. Howard, the guy who created Conan and then like the Pulp Fiction in the early 1920s, he said that the savage is more civilized than the civilized man because the savage knows that if he speaks wrong, it could be his head. And the Twitter thing has allowed people to not, when it was the old days, you said something, okay, say it, but there could be a price. And so the Twitter thing is like, you could say something that sounds really funny and smart and snarky, but it's absolutely vapid. And so, but that's the venue that we've got now. And if it's frustrating, I try to talk to people with respect. I'm old school. I believe that, but it's not really, there's a lot of people, even content creators, they've got agendas. There's one group that, if they don't like you, they'll just wait for you to say something that they can kind of pick apart, and then they'll just keep going, and they run you on for an hour, wasting your time because it's an agenda. It's the art of war, and it's just a petty place. But unfortunately, it's essential to the gig. So I'm trying to do it.
What do you think of this one?
I loved him. I remember after week 1, everybody was saying he sucked. I said he was better than I thought against the Chargers. The guy came in with no linebackers. Ramsey being out, he did a phenomenal job, broke the sack record. I don't know if he wanted to stay or go, but I know that Greer sending guys to the practice field without even letting them know as you go into the postseason was certainly a way to get him out of here. And then he was done wrong. He was an old man. He's a bitter man. Blah, 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 blah. He's unbelievable. He's a revolutionary mind in football, and he's an unbelievable coach. I thought we should have been lucky to have him, and we should have made it so he wanted to stay. I think the guy's great.
All right, and last picture. This is the picture I want to show you. It's of Chris Greer, but
that's his. Let me tell you something. That's what he should be doing. He's really good at doing trades and getting stuff and that stuff, but guy doesn't know football. Look, all us fans have been talking about physicality, offensive line, and he laughs at us, and he's very, condescending, and he's one of those passive aggressive guys, and now he's doing it after all. If he had just done that a few years ago, didn't pass on Zach Tom, Creed Humphreys, or Cosme over Eichenberg, the guy would have been a superstar. But he's one of those guys who's never had a hangnail, never been in a fist fight. He's out to prove everybody he's smarter because he couldn't play the game. He doesn't understand the brutality and physicality needed. And I just can't stand him. I don't like him as a person, and I don't like him as a GM. I'm sure
Shout out to CB83. Shout out to CB83 in the building. But yeah,
I'm sure he's a great guy, great family man. I'm sure if you met him in the streets, he'd be a great guy. But he just is not the gig for him. He's been living on the Teflon status. He's never really had to earn it and keep it. And so I can't wait for him to go fast.
What about this guy right here then? Where is he?
I think the guy really wants to win, but he's so caught up in a corporate structure and putting his hands in the pie. And it's a shame because in so many ways, he's the perfect owner. But then the other ways, he's the worst because he gets involved and he gets guys. Look, he just doesn't get football guys. He wants people he can control. He wants to have separations of powers. We've seen it over and over again, and it's just not a way of working the game. And it's proved itself out over and over. I hope he has success for my sake and his. I don't think he's a bad guy. I just think that he just can't control his impulses for control. So hopefully he gets it right.
Hey, appreciate that. I really do. You both among my favorite. Really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you.
Thanks,
back.
Phil.
All right, and last but not least, man, and listen. I appreciate the time you've given me. Do an hour 15 minutes. I felt like 10 minutes, man.
Yeah, man, it was a great time. It really was. Sorry for me getting kicked off and sweating. I'm still sweating. I'm not going to sleep well tonight.
But and again, hopefully I could go on your show next week.
Yeah, 100%. You better believe it. It won't be as jazzy as this. I won't have all the cool stuff, but I'll do my best.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Listen, man, you're a wealth of knowledge, man. And again, I take inspiration from all the content creators, and you're one of them, believe it or not.
Bro, that's really a fond compliment, really.
And last but not least, I end it with the Miami Dolphins, Mount Rushmore. It could be player, coach, owner, whatever you want to say. By the way, besides, I think one of the things before we do go, one of the things, unfortunately, sad to say that I think this franchise died with Joe Robbie. Because it's never been the same without Joe Robbie, after Joe Robbie.
I kind of agree. Mount Rushmore is hard. Bobby Beathard was our GM early on and got all that talent. I want to put him up there. You got to put Joe Robbie, Dan Marino, Don Shula. I want to put Cox, but I got to put Zach.
Zach?
Yeah. He's a Hall of Famer. And,
no doubt.
He's everything that you want from a person, an employee, a football player. He gave everything and more. He took everything he had and juiced it up. He's 5'10", 5'9", maybe. He's like a Sam Mills kind of guy. And he played, I loved him. I remember reading in the Dolphins Digest, the first year he was, when he was rookie year, and he had in the back, his favorite movie was Braveheart. I said, "You had me at hello." That was like one of my favorite movies. So I would say that. I want to put Dwight Stevenson too. Mm-hmm. But I think I'll I don't know what I said.
One of my favorite. This is one of my favorite movies. Actually, this is my favorite movie of all time.
Morning, Your Majesty. It is another beautiful day in Zamunda.
Coming to America. Love me some Coming to America.
Oh yeah. I didn't see the second one. I didn't want to tarnish it.
Now, to be honest with you, the second one was I took it more of as a where are they now?
Yeah.
Instead of it's like a reunion more than a movie. because I've only seen it maybe a couple of times. But
I still remember I was at my friend's house and they had like the HBO whatever, and Eddie Murphy Raw came on, and it just blew my mind. I was a huge Eddie Murphy fan. He was unbelievable. He had one of the best runs ever.
Oh, yeah, Beverly Hills Cop, Trading Places.
Trading Places, phenomenal.
Yeah, the list could go on and on, man.
I even liked
48 Hours.
Moonchild. 48 Hours is great too. I love Moonchild. Oh, was it Moonchild? Was that the one? His name of Moonchild?
Golden Child. You talking
Golden
about
Child? Yeah, that was great. I had my wife watch it. She actually liked it.
I Want the Knife.
Wait, I don't. No.
That was when he went to get the dagger, right?
Oh, and that's right. Yeah.
And he goes, in order to talk, you have to spin the wheel. So he went, I want the knife.
That's right. When the demon guy was doing all that stuff, like the game show thing in the back. Yeah, man. That's good.
Yeah. And then of course Harlem Nights with Red Fox.
Yep. I was a huge Red Fox fan. I mean,
me too.
Sanford and Son, dude, I got to get a shirt around. Sanford and Son was like like I said, I grew up in the 70s, man. So that was like
one thing I didn't know. Have you ever seen the movie X with Malcolm X?
Yeah. But was it called X or was it called Malcolm X?
It was called X. It was just called X. So apparently, the character that Spike Lee played was Red Fox.
That's funny. Well, he was huge. I still remember him on the old. What was it? They had the like Johnny Carson. They would all get up and do the roasts and stuff like that with the old time guys.
Yeah, Richard Pryor.
Yeah, that was good stuff, man. That was so funny back. That was real comedian. Yeah, True Blaze, Delirious. That's what it was. It wasn't Raw. It was Delirious. That's right.
Delirious.
My shoe. Yeah, that was so great, dude. Oh, I think that was my favorite stand-up of all time was Delirious. That's right. And Raw came after. I didn't think it was as good, but Delirious was phenomenal. With Captain Kirk, my lemonade, cool, refreshing drink. That was great stuff, man. It's a great show, man. I enjoyed this.
But anyway, man, just kick it with me backstage for a little bit, and we about to wrap this up. Any final thoughts, man, before we head out? And once again, I am humbled by you coming up here and give me some of your time. I'm humbled by all the. Listen, man, this in the blender wouldn't be possible with two things: the guests who give me some of their time to talk with, and of course the people that come and give me their time to watch us chop it up. You know what I'm saying?
1,000%. You do a great job, dude. I'm not kidding, man. I really enjoyed myself. I think that you make people feel comfortable, and you got a way of presenting yourself that is very familiar in a sense. You connect with people. I really think you did a great job, man. I'm gonna have to start biting off on some of your stuff.
I appreciate that, man. Hey, listen, I bit a few, so you know what I'm saying. So
you all do. Every artist is a thief.
Hey, well, one thing you got to realize. I want people to think about this. When you name, thank you, Steve Malloy, man. Steve, again, I'm gonna email you the link on the show he did was phenomenal.
Yeah, Steve's great. I really love Steve. I do.
You name like, for instance, Stevie Wonder. You name Jimi Hendrix.
Hey, Stevie Wonder. No, it's Stevie Wonder. That was my wedding song.
Yeah. Nice.
That's the best song.
You look at any great musician, when they started playing, they were playing before they started writing their own music, they were playing other people's music first in order to learn the guitar. 100%. When somebody picked up the guitar, you got to, and before Slash started making his own music, he was playing other people's songs to get the fundamentals down. And that's how it is with everything. In order for you to get the fundamentals down, you gotta learn from other people and pick up things as you go. You know what I'm saying?
1,000,000% correct.
So, all right, man. Fins up. What you got going next week,
everybody? Man? I appreciate it.
One last thing. What are we doing next week?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I don't know. YouTube videos, I guess, huh? I don't know, dude.
Cheers, y'all. We out this bitch. Peace.
Be good. Thanks, guys.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.